Sorry about that. I hate me too. My name is Saints and welcome to my channel. Today we got some tier 6 Carthaginian spear infantry. And this was labeled as good in my video footage, so supposedly I did something good in this combination. Oh my, I am being surrounded. That is not good. I am being charged in the side. That is not good. Ah, but I turned it around and now this cav is in a very less than ideal situation. So that's something. Oh look, I got myself rear flanked. I'm a fucking idiot. Attack them from the front. Okay, so I did kind of turn that around a little bit. So I guess considering the fact that I got rear charge, that's not bad. And now we've got them trapped, so that's good. Good for my teammate to come in there and help me while I'm fapping around. I don't even know what the fuck is going on in this fight. But you guys can sit back and watch what something in here was entitled as good plays for, and I'll talk some. So, particular thing I want to talk about here. I've made a couple videos about it, about elephants, and I don't want to say that I'm wrong, because I don't feel that I'm completely wrong. But I feel that my analysis of the situation is wrong. So, I said that elephants were in a bad spot, that they're too powerful, and I still feel that elephants are too powerful, but I have a better thought process on why, and about how that needs to change. So, it's not just elephants. I focus in on elephants because elephants are powerful naturally anyway. So it's more evident in them, I feel, than in other units. So I do feel that they need a slight nerf compared to other units, but I think that overall there is a gameplay mechanic that is causing issues, and that's the respawn mechanic. Now, it could be used in a very interesting way. It could create some interesting gameplay moments, but where I feel it's at currently, it's not that interesting. And it makes gameplay for certain units too easy. Right? Like this cavalry unit, for example. I literally just fought this dude, and I'm fighting him again. Which is, in and of itself, kind of broken, right? So, now imagine if that was elephants. Imagine how much more broken that could be. So, I don't feel that it's the elephants that are necessarily the problem themselves, but the respawn mechanic. See, it lends itself so that units like elephants that are powerful and rightly should be powerful can kind of abuse the respawn system a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. To where they can die and come back and still be dealing immense amounts of damage. On top of that, you have the chevron system, which also makes units more powerful for getting kills. So, essentially, an elephant comes in, deals a lot of damage, gets a lot of experience, fucks off for a little bit, and then comes back at full health. And can then bully you some more, while you're left kind of up a creek without a paddle. Now, I did show that spear units can be effective at taking out elephants as long as you know what you're doing, and once you engage the elephant, you basically just continue to back up, so that even if they do their stomp, they're not actually knocking too many of your men down, and you can stay in that phalanx formation and deal quite a bit of damage. So, you can deal with them. You don't have to be javelins or pikes to deal with them. It's just easier with those units, and spears were given a slight bonus versus elephants, so that's nice there. You can deal with them, but the issue that I want to focus in on is more than just an issue with elephants, right? It's an issue with respawns and with chevrons, right? Now, obviously, chevrons make your units better. That's increased armor, increased melee damage, increased speed. It may or may not increase your morale as well. I don't remember. But you can see if the chevron makes your units better, then okay, that's good. But if it makes them too powerful, what then? There are literal units like Falxmen, for example. Falxmen are actually an excellent example. No shields, practically naked, but once they get that buff from the chevrons, missile units like arrows and slingers, they just kind of bounce off. Like, what the fuck is even the point of shooting at them once they get enough chevrons? Because even, like, they're just arrows hitting these men, and they're just like, haha, who gives a fuck? Right? It's like that scene from the Superman movie years ago where he gets shot in the eye with a 9mm, and the 9mm just folds to his eyeball or whatever and then falls to the ground. It's exactly like that with them. They're just like, well, who gives a fuck? So there's an issue there with the respawns. It's a little bit too fast. It doesn't lead to exciting gameplay or interesting gameplay, in my opinion. And then the chevrons make it so that some units become too powerful. So chevrons, interesting, something that I would like to see further developed upon. I think in a game where there was no respawning, they would be a lot more interesting, because you wouldn't be able to get a unit up to high levels of chevrons and then respawn with those same high chevrons. So it's very interesting and could lend itself to a very interesting gameplay mechanic if there wasn't respawning. Now, having said that, the respawning, it makes elephants incredibly more powerful than they need to be. Here you can see these elephants coming in and just wrecking face. I don't know where they were before, but they did just respawn, and I know they had died once prior to this as well. So even though they've not necessarily done a whole lot in enough to get experience, they're still able to respawn and cause damage to, what's this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. Basically, they just fought 6 units plus 1 unit of cavalry by themselves and just shredded them. Now, granted, those were swords, which are honestly what elephants are best at fighting, is tightly packed infantry like that. So it did kind of skew a little bit because that's what they're good at fighting, but at the same time, they had literally no issues fighting it, and they were basic elephants. I didn't see a single tear up on those elephants. Again, I'm not trying to focus in on elephants. This is an issue with spears as well. You'll see once I get these guys back, they're already tier 2 spears, which are incredibly powerful. So that in and of itself, you're getting bonuses from whatever you have for whatever you're fighting. So, for example, the spears have bonus versus cavalry and bonus versus elephants. And then you're getting the bonus from the chevrons. Things like that. Stacking can become incredibly powerful. Even with archers, there is a buff to their melee damage, or to their missile damage and stuff like that. So they become incredibly powerful too. But, you know, if certain units can get that faster, Falxmen can run in and deal a whole lot of damage to just about any unit in the game and do it pretty fast. And get their chevrons, get out, they can move fast. Now, granted, that's just an advantage that they have, being able to move fast, get in, deal a lot of damage, but they're squishier for a time. till they start getting 70 plus armor on a completely naked unit that technically doesn't really have any armor on to begin with, and now all of a sudden they're bouncing arrows. It's dumb. But that's how they have it in the game. I'm not going to say that the game is trash. I'm just going to say that there's issues with the game, because there are issues with the game that need addressed. Now, the developers know that there are issues. Obviously, this wasn't going to come out perfectly and polished. That's why we're in a beta test. So things do need to change, do need to get worked on to make some units more competitive and others less, I suppose, is the best way I can put it. Elephants are one of the examples. I think the respawn timer needs to be adjusted. In one of the discords I'm in for late nights, one member suggested a drop dead respawn, so that at a certain time everybody comes back. Say 5 minutes into, if you die in the first 3 minutes, you have a respawn at the 5-minute mark. So you would come back in at the 5-minute mark, and then you have another respawn at the 10-minute mark, and then at the 15-minute mark, and if the game continues on past 15 minutes, at the 20-minute mark, and so forth and so on. So basically every 5 minutes you have a guaranteed respawn, rather than respawning, say, once every 30 seconds, and then that 30 seconds becomes 45 seconds, and that 45 seconds becomes a minute. It's just however often the respawns can come. Another thing that was that have been suggested are just increasing the respawn times in general. So instead of having a 30-second start for your respawn time, have a minute respawn time starting off, and that minute becomes a minute and a half, and that minute and a half becomes 2 minutes. A minute and a half time out of a battle for any unit is quite a bit of time. I will say this, I think that elephants and some other units, just due to their value on the battlefield, would need to see their times slightly higher than others. But when you think about it, those units are kind of balanced out with other units, so I would say, honestly, just a longer respawn time across the board. Because, I mean, you could say pikes need it too, because pikes are the best infantry unit in the game, bar none, just simply because they can get in the right situation. They can just sit there and infinitely kill units. But having said that, while they're not bad at pushing, they're not the best at it either. So you could say like Falksmen are the best for pushing, but then you have dogs, which are infinitely good at breaking through pikes and spear walls. So I don't know. I would say that just a general respawn time increase all around. Now, again, one of the suggestions that I like is when a unit is dead, so if one dies, it stays completely dead. Doesn't matter if you go back to the respawn or not. But you go back to the respawn area, the replenishment area, you sit there for a little bit, you get your units back, and now you can come back into the fight and deal your damage at full strength. So that could be something that they could look at doing. I think that would be very interesting. I think that that would be beneficial to the game, and I think that would kind of set well with old Total War Arena players as well, because you would have units that could replenish if they got back there, and if a unit died, it was dead. I wouldn't have elephants coming back 30 seconds later to charge me again after I just got through killing them. So I don't think anyone would particularly complain about that, but at the same time, I don't know. Let me know about your thoughts about it in the comments, guys. I still think that something needs to be changed, and I think the developers are working on stuff. Of course, I haven't released any news yet about what they're doing or anything like that as of yet. It's been a second since I've checked. I need to check myself, see what they've changed and what they've incorporated But we'll see how things go. I can see why I labeled this as good. I did some good plays here and there, you know, trapping the infantry between my two spears, and then that fight that I was just in there, how I maneuvered around and managed to kill out several units by myself. So, I didn't do too shabby, I suppose. But yeah, uh, it's interesting. The respawn mechanic, I'm not a fan of it. I'm just going to be blatantly honest with you guys. I'm not a fan of the respawn mechanic. It lends itself to other issues. I think it makes elephants too powerful, but even looking at it, I feel that it makes everything potentially too powerful, especially if you're going to include a chevron system. It makes the entire game broken. Obviously, elephants are incredibly powerful. I think, honestly, a group of 4 elephants would be nearly unstoppable. So if myself and 3 other people teamed up and we all went elephants at the same tier, of course, tier 6, tier 7, whatever the tier may be, it would just be nearly unstoppable. So I think that's something that they need to tweak just a little bit. Obviously, that doesn't happen very much, but it has been known to happen in the old Total War arena. Anyways, guys, I pretty much quit playing at this point because the fight's over. We're about to win through holding points. Oh, whippy! Another thing that I could talk about in a different video. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Peace!